I think tonight's going to be an interesting game. I think that there's definitely like weaknesses on both sides of the ball for both teams. Like the Vikings defense is obviously really good. The Chargers offense can be really good if everything's running well, and the offensive line can protect Justin Herbert enough to be able to get the job done. But I will say this, like I do think that there's plenty of upside in fantasy in this one, if for no other reason but because of the fact that like every Thursday night defense has done terribly. So like I think there is opportunity here for the Los Angeles Chargers to be able to do pretty well offensively, and a bunch of other things that I think go into this game. You know, the Vikings obviously have another week of Carson Wentz that we have to all look forward to tonight, but there is the return of Aaron Jones. I think that's going to really complicate a lot of people's decisions in fantasy football this week with their lineup, because we've already had a ton of Jordan Mason questions today. So I do think that it's going to be interesting to see how everyone reacts to the news that Aaron Jones is coming back tonight. I'm sure we'll answer some Aaron Jones questions tonight. I do think that it's going to be, again, just interesting to watch the reaction, because I'll be honest, he didn't move much in my rankings, guys. And for those of you who have access to my rankings behind the premium subscription on fsroundup.com, you know where he's ranked right now. It's not much different. So I am kind of curious to see the amount of questions we have of Jordan Mason tonight. But of course, we're going to answer some questions before Thursday Night Football. So make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel to show your support. And if you don't get your start set question answered tonight, make sure to go to fsroundup.com, post a start sit poll on the site that you're seeing on the screen. Entirely free to do that. Vote on everybody else's for free. Get your question answered for free as well. So let's start out at the top here. Bingo Bob, what's going on? Sit one between Ladd, DK, and Addison. So it's tough. I really do like all three options. I think that Ladd, again, Thursday night options, like they've got to be enhanced because of the Thursday night element with defenses. So I do think that Thursday night, you know, the Thursday night element makes me want to play Ladd, makes me want to play Addison. With Ladd in particular, if I'm debating between the two options for the Thursday night matchup, I would choose Ladd, and that's because, you know, you look at the quarterback. I mean, the quarterback difference is enormous in Justin Herbert and Carson Wentz. So, like, that alone is enough for me to want to pull the trigger on Ladd versus Jordan Addison, who, you know, definitely is a very good player and has actually done really well with Carson Wentz at quarterback. I still do worry a little bit about the volatility and the work that I'm sure Justin Jefferson is wanting to get. Because, like, Justin Jefferson, if you've noticed in games, watching the Vikings play, he's been very calm and very, like, even keel about other guys eating besides him. Like, Justin Jefferson really hasn't had a big game this year. I kind of wonder if that dam is going to break tonight. So, yeah, I think that Ladd is the better play. It really comes down to DK and Addison. And if it wasn't a game where I'm projecting to be a really high-scoring shootout potentially with the Steelers, I might choose Addison over DK. But I'm going to choose DK over Addison because I think that, again, the Steelers in this game versus the Packers, I do think could be easily a shootout and could become one of those games where DK Metcalf has, like, 5 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown. And I think that with Jordan Addison, it's still just a little limited. So here I go again, I guess, doubting Jordan Addison again. But I'm gonna go ahead and sit Addison, unfortunately. Chaluto, what's going on? Riding with Green Bay defense again. Interesting. We'll see how that one goes. Planet Mars 13, what's going on? Mason or Manungai? So the first Jordan Mason question comes, and I'm glad it's coming on this one too, because, you know, Kyle Manungai, I think that there needs to be a spotlight shine on him really quick. Obviously, last week was cool, right? Like 13 carries for the guy, 15 total opportunities when you add in 2 targets, and he was efficient running the ball. Like, I'm not here to dispute the idea that Ben Johnson finally has his RB2 in an offense where he prefers to have 2 running backs be relevant on a weekly basis. I'm not here to deter from that argument. And I said this in the running back rankings yesterday too. I do think there's credence to the argument that he could be a solid play this week. And particularly this week, I really do think it's a good trial run to run again if you wanted to play him, considering all the bye weeks and the injuries that we're seeing. I mean, they are playing the Ravens defense after all, right? So even if Lamar plays, if he's limited, that defense isn't going to stop the Bears as long as the Bears don't stop themselves. So I have no problem with playing Monangai. I will say this, though. Again, I'm very glad that this is coming up this early in the chat because I really do think that Jordan Mason's a good play. And I don't get worried about it because I got to tell you, man, this is something I think a lot of people are overlooking. Minnesota, if you look back to week 1, this is a week where Aaron Jones came out of the offseason. He was healthy and ready to go, not injured yet. So Jordan Mason out-touches him, right? And I'm not talking about just total volume. I'm talking about carries. Look at the carry differential. He basically doubled Aaron Jones' carries in week 1 alone. And Aaron Jones was involved as a receiving back, which he will be. That's really what his bread and butter is at this point of his career. But they traded for Mason, and they signed him to basically be their kind of lead back. And that happened week 1 with Aaron Jones. Then week 2 with Aaron Jones, he beat him in carries again. That's going to happen. And the Chargers are a really bad running defense. So for me, Mason didn't move at all. Spoiler alert. In my rankings, Jordan Mason hasn't budged. And I'm not going to budge. So I'm okay with playing Jordan Mason. I think that the upside is, maybe you could argue it's a little higher because of the matchup for Chicago and Kyle Monangai, but still, Jordan Mason is a guy that is a red zone threat on a good offense, and he's, in my opinion, still going to lead the backfield. And we realistically don't know if Monangai is going to continue to do what he did last week. That was the first time we had seen all year where they gave Monangai the ball. That was the first time. So I would rather not bank on that again. When I've got an option, we've had proven week after week this year to be their lead back, even with Aaron Jones. I'll go Jordan Mason. David Sutton, what's going on? San Fran defense needs or Cincinnati defense? Yeah, I think that the 49ers defense is a really solid play this week. Listen, I get it. I've actually found myself grabbing the 49ers defense almost everywhere. I have the 49ers defense all over the place in basically every league. And listen, I think that they're going to be a good play even without all the players that they're missing. I mean, the 49ers, every week they lose somebody else. Just this past week, they lost another pass rusher, man. I get it. But there's just something about dominant coaching in this league that you just can't, I'm fighting two different things here. Because on one hand, I want to say, there's just something about dominant coaching. And to be clear, Robert Saleh is a dominant defensive coordinator. New York Jets, they make everything bad. I mean, Aaron Glenn, their head coach now, really good defensive coordinator for the Lions. They have good coaches that come through there and they just get ripped apart. That happened with Robert Saleh. So, Robert Saleh has really revived his reputation amongst fans because he's been a dominant defensive coordinator this year. I will say that the other side I'm fighting is that, there does come a point of no return. Of, just diminishing returns where it's you have all these injuries, and how in the world can you possibly keep putting up decent performances as a collective unit when defense is really one of those, defense is the side of the ball where you need, you've got to have some game changers, man, to make fantasy football plays. I just like the matchup, though. The matchup against the Texans, I don't care if they've lost Nick Bosa, they lost another guy. They've lost plenty of guys, and I understand that. I get it. But at the same time, I look at this and I say, Houston's lost a bunch of guys too. So as far as I'm concerned, it's kind of even Steven, because I'll give you, just watch CJ Stroud play. When has he looked good this year? One game against the Ravens defense? I mean, give me a break. He has one good game this year against the Ravens defense, who isn't good. So, I don't know, man. I think the 49ers are a good play. Their defense, to me, is just better run. And even after losing all these guys that they've lost, the Bengals defense just doesn't have the talent. And they may or may not get Trey Hendrickson back to rush the passer, which I think is a good, like, they need him. And they've got a good matchup, too, against the Jets. But I'll personally go ahead and take the 49ers. I think they could come up with several sacks in the game. They're close, though. I will say they're close. Chris Coate, man, what's going on? Good to see you in here. Chris, I need to make you a moderator. I say this every time. I need to make you a moderator because someone's got to condense the nonsense in here sometimes. Chris is an OG. We like Herbert tonight or Caleb with a juicy matchup instead? Yeah, I said this on the quarterback and tight end rankings today. By the way, let me know if you liked that video and you want to continue to see that on Thursday nights, or Thursdays rather. Because if people like it and they want to see quarterback rankings and tight end rankings moving forward on Thursdays, I'll continue to do them. I think that my only problem with Herbert tonight is the pass rush of the Minnesota Vikings. That's an aggressive one. Like, they've got a really good defensive coordinator over there with Brian Flores. And even though it's a Thursday night game and there's bad history and good history with quarterbacks on Thursday nights, I don't trust the offensive line yet with the Chargers. And is Joe Alt going? Let me see. Because Joe Alt, if he's back, like, I can't imagine he's 100% if he's back off a short week. So he's going to play. So Joe Alt coming back is a big thing for the Chargers offensive line. But I still do worry about it, man. I think that Caleb, against the Ravens, it feels like a much safer matchup. And Caleb, he's really had one dud. Like, that's really all you can hold against Caleb is the one dud week. He's got just as high of a ceiling, if not even a little higher, than Herbert does on a weekly basis because he runs more often. So I think Caleb is the better play this week. Better matchup. I'll take Caleb. Herbert is a good, solid play for a lot of teams, but I'll go with Caleb. Again, good to always see you in here, Chris. Ricardo Martinez, what's going on? Flex Addison or Gadsden, full PPR. So I do think that it's important to remember, if you haven't seen the tight end and quarterback ranking video I did today, you should go watch it. Like, there is a line and a limit to which I reach where I feel like I always find myself being the wet blanket on someone who's getting very hyped, right? Like, I remember saying over the offseason as Travion Henderson started to rise up the ranks, like, we got to pump the brakes here for a second. Like, it is still the Patriots. They're very slow with rookies, and, like, their offense didn't look good. Now, their offense looks really good now. But I will say, like, I really don't think that, it obviously has aged well. But, like, I don't like to be the wet blanket on things all the time. Like, it just kind of makes me feel like a get off my lawn grandpa, right? But I will say, like, with Rhamondre Gadsden, he falls in that same category where I feel like the hype has gone a little too overboard. Like, if you look at Rhamondre Gadsden, the first, 5 weeks, basically, of his career, I mean, he was irrelevant for most of the first, like, month of September, right? Like, Tyler Conklin, Will Dissly were getting the majority of the work. His first emergence came in week 3, when Tyler Conklin and Will Dissly were both dealing with injuries. Then it didn't stick. He had 3 targets the following week after a 6-target week, and then he got to 1 target in week 5. So, like, I just don't trust Rhamondre Gadsden. Like, these last 2 weeks, sure, he strung together 2 games where he combined 15 targets in those 2 weeks. I understand all that, but, like, I would rather take the guy that we know is going to be involved in any game script. Jordan Addison is a very good player. And by the way, like, I was just kind of downing him only because I like the other options better. But Addison is a guy that's looked really good with his quarterback. Like, Gadsden, there's just not enough information out there. Like, I would much rather play Jordan Addison than Rhamondre Gadsden. It's not particularly close. Miles OC89. What's going on? Should I play it safe and just sit A.J. Brown for Addison, Johnston, and Chase? I think I don't have a problem with you sitting him for Like Chase. I'm assuming it's Jamar Chase, like who's one of your options. I have no problem sitting him for Jamar Chase. I also don't have as big of a problem with sitting him for QJ. I don't have a problem with sitting him for either. That's just not the way I play though. Like you start out the question by asking me, should I play it safe? I'm not really a play it safe type of guy. Like I like to take risks in life and in fantasy football. I'm a risk taker. Like that's just how I do things. So like you'll never hear me talking about like, let's play it safe. Unless it makes no sense, right? Like if you were asking me, who's a touchdown upside guy? Like how about last year, Nick Westbrook-Akine when he was a Tennessee Titan? Remember that like stretch he went on where he was like 5 straight games he had a touchdown in every game? I mean, it was crazy. Like every week it felt like he was scoring a touchdown, but if you looked at his volume, it was like, how is this happening? Like he's getting 2-3 targets per game. So I just kind of think of it that, and it's like if you were asking me, Nick Westbrook-Akine or Jordan Addison, Johnson, and Chase, I would say yeah, like play those 3 options. But I mean, we are talking about a guy who does see relatively consistent target share. Like even though Devonta Smith has been more involved throughout the duration of the season, I do think that it is like one of those scenarios where you just kind of feel like it's not like his job entirely. Like AJ Brown still is the big play threat. And I get it. Like he has missed practice. He's got a hamstring injury. So that does, again, go into what I'm about to say, which is that Jordan Addison, like if there was no other risk there other than like if AJ Brown was healthy, right? AJ Brown would be the obvious play for me because like I think he has higher upside than all those guys except Jamar Chase, right? But that isn't the case. AJ Brown has missed 2 straight days of practice, and I do think for that reason I would just end up playing Addison because I would imagine like since you're not mentioning other options, your other options are probably there's probably a major teardrop after Addison, right? Like if you sit Addison in the hopes that AJ Brown plays this week and he doesn't, like you maybe go into like Matthew Golden or Josh Downs or something like that. Like that's a big enough teardrop to where I would say let's just go with Addison because we really don't know if AJ Brown's going to play in this one. So yeah, I probably would end up playing Jordan Addison along with those other 2 guys. I'm balding. I'm 21 too. What a name. That is one heck of a name. I love that. That's fantastic. Jordan Mason or Rhamondre, full PPR. Great question. I think we may have seen that poll come across FS Roundup. I'm not for certain if we've seen it come across, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's been up at some point. That does feel like a poll that I have seen. Maybe I'm wrong, but good poll to post on FS Roundup because I wouldn't say that like I think there's a gap between what I think of Jordan Mason and what the community thinks of him. I think most people have been scared to play Mason without Aaron Jones. And I can't blame people. Like if you look under the hood with Jordan Mason, like every week has been saved by a touchdown with him, except 1 week against a bad defense, the Cincinnati Bengals. But like look at his production last week, right? 57 yards on the ground, no catches, and had a touchdown that saved his week for 11.7 fantasy points. Week 5 before their bye week, 12.6 fantasy points saved by a touchdown against the Browns. Week 4 had 10.2 fantasy points, didn't get in the end zone, but actually had some catches in that game. So like it's just one of those situations where outside of week 3 where he had 23 fantasy points, he got in the end zone twice. Mason has been a guy that's been touchdown dependent to save his week. I get it. I understand all that. But I will say this, like Rhamondre is not in that different of a boat. And the difference between Jordan Mason and Rhamondre this week is that Mason's actually got a good matchup. Like I don't want people to overlook the Chargers matchup because it is really good. Like the Chargers are not a good run defense and they're banged up. Like, there's just a lot that could go very badly. And again, Thursday night games, I usually lean towards those Thursday night options. So, Rhamondre Stevenson last week, he put up 16 fantasy points in a full PPR format against the Titans defense. Like, the Titans defense, they're fine, but they can't do anything from an offensive perspective. Cleveland has a really good run defense. Like, they're the number one run defense in the league, actually. So I'm very reluctant to play Rhamondre, who, they gave work to Terrell Jennings last week. Like, they're not wanting to use Rhamondre as, like, the full bell cow. They're still giving opportunities to Travion. Like, both those guys combined had 7 opportunities this previous week against the Titans. I just don't think it's worth it to me to play a running back that's in a bad matchup who is not that much better than Jordan Mason is as a player. So I'd personally go ahead and play Jordan Mason. Alias, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. God offered Jalen Warren and Judy for Jones. God offered Jalen Warren and Judy for London. That makes no sense. No, Jalen Warren and Judy for London makes no sense at all. What are you getting out of this, right? Like, let's just walk through it really quick. So, you're going to give up a wide receiver who, yes, is hot and cold because of the offense, and not one that I trust. Like, if Drake London was my wide receiver 1 in fantasy, I would feel a little uneasy, right? But if he's my wide receiver 2, I feel pretty great because I know I've got a wide receiver 2 that can give me a week like he gave me against the Buffalo Bills in week 6 at any point. 30 points in a fantasy performance is not out of the realm of possibilities for Drake London whatsoever. So on one hand, I'm like, yeah, like I can understand the hesitancy of having Drake London on your team because there are some times where you feel like you could do better. But you're getting Jerry Jeudy as the wide receiver replacement. And it's not like if you're going to send away one of the foundational pieces of your team, who I would consider Drake London to be, because, again, Drake London, even though he's not a true wide receiver 1 in fantasy, he gives you that upside on a weekly basis. So, like, if I'm going to give someone like that away, I need to make sure that I'm getting the upside of I need to make sure that I'm getting the upside of another player that I can play on a weekly basis. And Jalen Warren, I've said, like, is a buy low. This is not a buy low for Jalen Warren. This makes no sense. You're getting rid of Drake London, a dominant wide receiver 2 / good wide receiver 1 in fantasy, for a running back 2 and a wide receiver that's like barely rosterable. Like, it makes no sense for your team to do this. So, like, I would, if I got this offer in my inbox, I would laugh. So, like, personally, this is just a stupid piece of advice. This is what I like to do. If someone sends me an offer this ridiculous, sometimes I'll, like, depending on who the person is, if I know them well, or sometimes if I don't even know them well, but I want to mess with them, I'll send them an offer back that's so outrageously ridiculous. It's like they'll see in their notifications on their phone that, they sent a counter offer. They're like, willing to negotiate. So I would send back like Drake London for like Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs or something like that. Like that's what I would do personally, just to mess with somebody, just because it shows me that they're not serious about actually making a decent trade. This makes no sense for your team. I would keep London 100%. Appreciate the super chat, Alias. That is how you jump the line. You can jump the line by doing a super chat and get your question answered immediately. Nate Willis, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Good to see you in here again tonight. Play 5 of these 7 choices. Cook, Henry, Scadaboo, Judkins, Jefferson, and Odunze. Who are you playing? So far, I've got QJ and Judkins benched. Well, you can't bench. Yeah, I'm not going to bench Cook and Henry. I have a good feeling about Henry this week. Jefferson. You're not going to bench Jefferson. Yeah, I'm not going to bench Jefferson. But that's 6 players. That's 6 choices. So you said QJ and Judkins. So I'm assuming Quentin Johnston is in there. You just didn't put him. So yeah, I think you've got it right. Like, that's exactly the moves that I would make. I'm not sure if you are a premium member at FS Roundup, Nate Willis, but that coincides with my rankings basically perfectly. I mean, they're all good options. Like, any other team would kill to have those 7 options on one team. Like, that's one team with all those options to play as, like, running backs, wide receivers, and flexes. Like, that's a really great group. I'm not benching Cook. I'm not benching Henry because I believe, particularly with Henry, the game script is going to go his way starting now with Lamar back. And we'll start to see him become more of a, top-tier player. I think that Scattaboo is a play over Judkins because, again, I just go back to that Steelers game where I watched it live. The Steelers pick apart the Browns. I mean, they knew exactly how to play them. And I'm giving Tomlin credit here because he played it perfectly. All you have to do is stack the box on Judkins and make Dylan Gabriel throw. Now, the Dolphins didn't do that last week because they're a bad run team. And they've got so many other issues in their own building that they're probably trying to sort out a lot of their own issues before they can even start thinking about dealing with other teams. I mean, it makes sense why they didn't do anything against the Browns because they've got so many other issues, and also they're just a bad team, and they're just dumb. So I don't think that there's really, like, I get it. It's fun to play somebody like Quinshon Judkins, like, off a massive week that he just had. I'm not going to do it. Like, if I have those other options, I'll go ahead and sit Judkins because the Patriots are a well-run operation. I have a very hard time believing that Mike Vrabel didn't see the film against Pittsburgh and just say to himself, this is the obvious answer of how you shut down their offense. Like, all you have to do is shut down their best player, which is Quinshon Judkins. That's all we have to do. And if you're telling me that's all we have to do, we're going to have a good day. So I'll go ahead and sit the exact same guys that you would bench. Not that I want to bench. Judkins and QJ are fine plays. But your options are just too good outside of that. So, yeah, you've got it exactly nailed how I have them ranked on FS Roundup. And, again, if you want access to my full top 250 rankings on a weekly basis, that is behind the premium subscription, which dropped from $8.88 a month to $6 a month. Literally just a couple days ago. So make sure to claim that new price and sign up for a premium subscription today. And again, if you don't get your question answered tonight, make sure to post a poll. Starts at poll on fsroundup.com for free. Appreciate the super chat, Nate. Good to see you in here as always. Aaron, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Flex spot. Jordan Mason or Isaiah Pacheco? Again, I think that the Jordan Mason questions are very, very interesting. How far people are willing to go. The best one I saw was Jordan Mason or Kyle Monungai, which, like, it's not a dumb question, but that's how far people are willing to drop Jordan Mason. And that's really the important thing is, like, I'm not here to judge anyone based off their questions. I'm here to access information into how y'all are thinking. And it's clear that people are worried about Jordan Mason because, like, ordinarily, Jordan Mason would be a home run play over the likes of Pacheco, right, and Kyle Monungai. But because of the fact that Aaron Jones is returning tonight, it gives people worry. With Pacheco, man, like, you've got to factor in Brashard Smith, and I'm sure you are. But the upside here that I'm sure a lot of people see with a guy like Isaiah Pacheco is the red zone usage. Like, he did get used in the red zone last week. He got his first touchdown of the year, and it made sense. Like, he got a 12-point game in fantasy. I got to tell you, though, like, that's kind of his ceiling. And that's a big problem because last week was a game where it made complete sense for him to dominate. Like, he's just not that good. Like, ever since he broke his his fibula last year or something like that, or he broke his femur. I mean, ever since that injury, like, he's not been the same player. So I can't realistically tell anyone that he's like an upside play. He's not. Like, at best, Isaiah Pacheco's upside is what we got from him last week in a 31-0 beatdown where he only put up 12.4 fantasy points in a full PPR format. Full PPR. Jordan Mason, I get it. Like, there's going to be limitations with Aaron Jones as far as the pass catching. Like, Jordan Mason has never been much of a pass catcher. Like, you can look back to all the other weeks where Aaron Jones missed, and you can draw the same conclusion. Like, he's never been a pass catching back. But he is still their lead carry back. And that's the thing, is that if you look back to all the previous weeks, look back to the 2 weeks where they had Aaron Jones, you'll find out that he was their lead back even then. So Jordan Mason against the Chargers, I'll just rather have the upside with Jordan Mason because he's just shown more upside. Appreciate the super chat, man. Good to see you in here. Lawrence Paliagas, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Flex Dowdle or Jones Jr.? Bye week got us down bad. No, I mean, these aren't bad options. Like, you could have much worse. You could have much worse. Yeah, I think it's funny, actually, because I just sent out I'm helping my wife with her fantasy team today, and I just sent out a trade to actually, there's 2 undefeated teams, ironically, in her league, but one of the undefeated teams, he's got Amon-Ra St. Brown and Rico Dowdle, and I sent out a trade to send Justin Jefferson and Travis Etienne for Rico and Amon-Ra. And he messaged her back. They worked together, so he messaged her, and he was like, this is actually a really fair trade. And that was exactly what the response I was hoping for. And I don't even know. Maybe by now, like, he's accepted the trade, and she just, like, hasn't told me because I'm live right now. But, like, I'm hoping he accepts that because the way I see it, and the reason I'm willing to trade, not just Jefferson and Amon-Ra, let's get them out of the equation. What we're talking about here is Rico. The reason I'm willing to trade for him is because with Travis Etienne, I see him as a failing asset moving forward because he's their clear lead back, but he also was not drafted by that organization. The previous regime drafted him. So there's a willingness to move on from him if he doesn't do well. That's just how the NFL works. It's a business. And he's not doing well. Well, Rico Dowdle, this guy kicked the door in 2 weeks straight, and last week, almost a 50-50 split, but Rico Dowdle was the better back, and they were a better offense collectively when he was on the field. And for that reason, I think that you've got a sample size now of 2 guys on the same field at once. One of the guys you paid $40 million to be your lead back, and the other guy is a free agent signing who you signed originally as depth, but is proving to be the better option. I think now that you've seen both guys and the depth piece is actually working, this is a time where I think Rico Dowdle is going to step into a bigger role. So, yeah, for me personally, I think Dowdle's about to take like maybe a 65-35 split this week. Better split than he had last week. And the Bills matchup doesn't scare me. Aaron Jones, I'd rather just see him. I'd rather see him first and how he looks. Because, Aaron Jones, man, like, I don't want to, like, jinx anything and, like, act like I'm wishing for this. But, like, he's just never been an injury-free guy. Like, that's always been his concern for me, particularly, is that he gets injured quite a bit. Like, this is not new from his last couple of years. So, like, I worry about Aaron Jones personally. And I think I'd rather just see him. With Rico, we know he's building momentum. So I'd personally go with Rico Dowdle. Appreciate the super chat, man. J.E., what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Trade Keenan for Judkins. So this is an interesting one because I just kind of was saying, like, I think that there's a lot of like matchups the Browns are going to place where they're going to play these teams, and these teams are going to be like, well, all we really have to do is shut down Judkins and make Dylan Gabriel throw. So let's just stack the box, right? I just made that argument this week for Judkins and why I don't love Judkins as a play this week. But because of all the bye weeks and all the injuries, Judkins had to rise up my rankings to the point where he's inside the top 15. Like, that's the only reason, though. If everyone was playing in this game or in this week, I would have Judkins probably around 15. Because, like, on one hand, we know he gets the volume, so he can't be that low ranked, and he's looked good on his volume for the most part outside of the 1 week where the team he played, the Pittsburgh Steelers, were just like, let's just stop the run and just make that guy throw. So I think it just makes too much sense in a guy like Mike Vrabel's head to be watching that film and saying, yeah, that's how we stop this team. But obviously the Browns, if you've looked at their schedule, they've got a lot of good options. They've got a lot of good teams they're playing. Like, I'll just show you guys the Browns schedule. The Browns, after this week, they get the Jets, which is already, again, a similar situation to what they just had with the Dolphins, where they're going to be playing a team that's swimming in their own poop right now. So, like, they're too busy wrapped up in their own disgusting crap to recognize the Achilles heel as Quinshon Judkins and just stopping him. Then they play the Ravens defense, which is questionable at best. Like, that defense is not good right now. Then the Raiders, tire fire. The 49ers, injury riddled. Titans are a tire fire. Bears defense could be tough. Bills defense maybe by that time is tough. And then the Steelers defense again. My point being is that there's several more games in the schedule right here for the Browns that I could see doing well for Quinshon Judkins. And Keenan Allen, I think that there's something is really persisting with me in Keenan Allen, is that Keenan is not a guy at this point. Like, he's obviously in his mid-30s, and it's very rare that we see a guy in his mid-30s become better as the season goes. Like, if anything, he's going to get worse, and we saw a little bit of that earlier in the past couple of weeks. Like, over the last several weeks, he's been pretty bad, even while he's getting targeted still. So I don't think it's going to get much better for him. I think that the better upside long-term falls with Judkins. So, yeah, I would do that trade. I don't know if they'll take it, but I would definitely do it if you could. Appreciate the super chat. Jersey B, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Would you rather flex Chase Brown, QJ, or Dowdle? Well, I'm not flexing Chase Brown when I've got QJ or Dowdle as options. I'd much rather take those other options than Chase Brown. It just comes down to QJ or Dowdle. And I think that they're very closely, if I'm remembering my rankings correctly, I don't remember exactly where everyone's ranked. I mean, I have 250 rankings on the site. Like, it's hard to remember exactly where everyone's ranked. But if my memory serves correctly, they are very close. I could see them both having solid weeks. They both have matchups I don't worry about. And with Minnesota, obviously, like, and QJ, I'm assuming QJ is Quentin Johnston. That is kind of a weird thing we're dealing with right now as a community. For years and years, QJ was Quentin Johnston. And I've had a couple people be like, no, I'm talking about Quinshon Judkins. So maybe we should start kind of specifying a little bit more which one's which. Because I think that I think it could get a little confusing moving forward if people start saying QJ and attributing it with Quinshon Judkins, because it's already happened. So, yeah, I do think a guy like Quinshon Judkins, I'd play over Dowdle still, just because we know he's getting 100%. But if it's Quentin Johnston, I'd still choose to play him. And the reason is because, again, Thursday night matchups, I got to push up every Thursday night option because defenses on Thursday nights have been bad. Like, there's just no way around that. So I like the upside with a guy like QJ tonight, Quentin Johnston, to get in the end zone and have like a couple big catches. So yeah, I think that I see you're saying Johnston. That's good. Yeah, I think Johnston. Either way, either QJ I would play over Dowdle personally, but like Johnston, I would play him Because, again, the only thing with Dowdle, I'm projecting that he will be the lead back. But I will also say, I will also say this, that I do think that Dowdle, I am projecting him to be the lead back, but you can't overlook like the volume that has not been there yet because we only have one game sample size. So maybe they come out and they do the same thing again this week where it's split and his upside is capped. So I'll go with QJ. Appreciate the super chat. I like the upside better. D-Rock, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Kamani, Vidal, or Zay at the flex half PPR. That reminds me, I actually have to move Kamani Vidal into my flex. Or not flex tonight, my running back spot. FYI, I don't say this enough. If you have Thursday night players, do not put them in the flex spot. If you've got Quentin Johnston, put him in the wide receiver position. If you've got a running back tonight, put him in the RB position. Don't clog up your flex on Thursday night. It's ill-advised. They're both solid options. I really do think that with Zay getting Lamar back, it's kind of weird. Because in one sense, I love the upside with Lamar better, and it is unquestionably better. Like if you look at the weeks without Lamar Jackson, they only had to play 2 games without Lamar because they were on the bye week this past week. But if you look at the 2 games without him, he was targeted plenty. Like 5 targets in week 5 and then 10 targets in week 6. So like his floor was pretty safe, but the problem with Zay is that his upside was definitely cut. And if you look at the game, that he performed really well in week 1 with Lamar, he had 28 fantasy points. Like you're just not getting that with the backups. So the return of Lamar makes me want the upside of Zay. But I will say this, the floor gets a lot lower for Zay with Lamar Jackson, because just look at week 3, right? Like week 3 he had 3 fantasy points, so it was kind of one of those situations again where it was like, wait, I thought it was starting to be a better. Like I personally like Zay. I think that in certain situations it makes sense, right? Like in certain situations I'm all in on playing Zay Flowers. I will say I think the matchup against Minnesota is not in theory great. But Kamani Vidal, to me, is not a bad play tonight. He's not. Like, the one thing I'll stand by is that this was his backfield last week. And it's going to be even more so tonight because they don't have Hassan Haskins. If you look at what happened to them last week, Hassan Haskins was in on 25 snaps. So he took away snap count from Vidal, but you also have to remember that this was a game where they were trailing basically the whole time. So Vidal was not in position to run the ball a ton. So I just don't think of it as like the worst thing in the world to play Kamani Vidal because he's the only guy there. And again, Thursday nights open up a unique opportunity. If they were playing the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday, I would be much more likely to start Zay because I don't like the matchup. On the surface, the matchup is not good. But Thursday nights, they create a lot of things that I've just been conditioned to think this way over the weeks. They open up opportunities, man. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and play Kamani Vidal. But it's very close. And a good one to post on FS Roundup as a start-sit poll, which you can do entirely for free. Appreciate the super chat, man. Bullwinkle, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Really quick before I answer this one, I am going to have to cut out a little earlier than usual tonight. I'm going to have to cut out probably like right around 7 because I do have to make a correction in my own lineup tonight. So I will have to do that. Bullwinkle, 5612. Appreciate the super chat. Play 2. Pittman, Dobbs, Keenan Allen. I'll play Keenan for sure because I like him over Dobbs. I like Dobbs, but I definitely will play him over I definitely will play Keenan because, again, at the very least, like with Romeo Dobbs, it's still too uncertain on a weekly basis what the upside, not what the upside is, what the workload is. It's still too unstable, and I can't trust it. So I'll go ahead and play Keenan because at least with him we know that the upside is always there and the targets are always there with him. So I'll play Keenan over Dobbs, and I'll definitely play Pittman over Dobbs too. Because I think that Pittman, the one thing I've been concerned with him is that it's been under the surface, and it finally came to the surface 2 weeks ago now, after week 6, where he got 3 targets and didn't get in the end zone. Like, that's a problem, especially in a competitive game. But they're playing the Titans this week, and I think that the targets have been, like, he's just been good enough on all of his work. Like, I think if you go to Michael Pittman, he's caught 35 of his 47 targets. Like, that's a pretty good number. And he's been in the end zone 5 times. That may seem like it's like hard to predict, but at the same time, man, this offense is running so efficient right now, and they're not about to be stopped by the Titans. So I'll go ahead and play Pittman and Keenan Allen. Appreciate the super chat. Adrian, good to see you in here. Appreciate the super chat. Looks like Ravens defense has a good schedule after week 8. That's another thing to keep in mind. I did say this weeks ago before. You haven't heard me talk about the Ravens in weeks because I said, I don't remember what week it was. Maybe after like week 3. I said I'm done defending them. Like, I was all in on playing the Ravens for weeks, and they kept taking a dub on me time and time and time again. And I finally had enough. And I was like, I'm not doing it anymore. Like, I'm not playing the Ravens defense until I see anything different. So you guys haven't heard me talk about them for weeks, but you're exactly right. I mean, I pointed this out with Derrick Henry when I called him a buy low. And I said, look at their schedule moving forward. They've got the Bears this weekend, which could be tough, but then they have the Dolphins. Then they have the Vikings with J.J. McCarthy probably. Then they have the Browns, the Jets, the Bengals, the Steelers, the Bengals, the Patriots, like the Ravens. I mean, they've got a lot of matchups moving forward that are really good in theory. So, like, I don't think that it's a bad move to keep your eye on them as a late season breakout. Because the other thing is, if you remember last year, that's when the Ravens got it together. Like, the back half of the year is when they started using Kyle Hamilton differently, and that's really the piece that matters. And obviously, they're decimated with injuries right now, so it feels a little bit like, can they really bring it together? Or is it just going to be a lost season for that defense? That's really the key, though, is how healthy do the Ravens defense get over the next couple of games? And I think that will be the ultimate deciding factor of how I feel about them long term. Because I do see the schedule here, and it is good. So I get it. Appreciate the super chat. Adrian, good to see you in here as well. Phenom TA 4236. Appreciate the super chat. Love your content, brother. Just signed up on the site. Buy Mageddon for me. Well, I appreciate you signing up and appreciate you always being here. And let's win, man. That's all we got to do. I'm considering flexing Gadsden and then flexing Ferg over Waddle. Only other options are Bill, Jawan Jennings. Thoughts? It really comes, the question really is, if Waddle doesn't play, would I rather play, let's just say, like, the question really comes down to, if everyone was playing on Sunday, except for Jaylen Waddle, and he missed the game entirely, would I rather play Gadsden or Bill or Jawan Jennings? I would rather play Gadsden over Jawan Jennings. I can tell you that for certain. Bill is making me, I just think Bill is just it's a funny situation, man. It really is. Like, because he's had opportunities and he hasn't done well with them, so I get it on one hand. On the other hand, he had that breakout game against the Chargers, and I can't get it out of my head. I will say this. The only thing that's really, like, not the only thing, but one of the, like, maybe the straw that breaks the camel's back when it comes to Bill this week, and my ultimate thoughts on him are the matchup versus the Kansas City Chiefs. That might be the straw that breaks the camel's back, because he's already been bad, and it's not getting any better. Like, he had a perfect opportunity last week against the Cowboys, and he did nothing. So, like, I don't dislike the idea of playing Gadsden over him. It just goes back to what I've been saying about Gadsden, which is that he's just not involved consistently. Like, outside of these past 2 weeks, his involvement has been spotty. So I get it, like 15 targets the last 2 weeks. That's or 17 actually the last 2 weeks. It's great, but like, man, it's tough. It really is tough because you're gonna play. Obviously, you're gonna play Ferguson. Man, I'm really mulling this one. It's tough. I think if it was me, I would play Bill. It's probably the toughest gut call question I've had all week. That's really hard. Go with your gut. Go with your gut. I have no decisive answer on this one. They both could be disasters, but they also both could be big hitters. I don't see much of a floor for either one of them. I see like a 3-point floor for both of them, even possibly lower for Gadsden. But I'll play Bill because we know that he's the lead back. That's the only reason I'm going to play him. Go with your gut, though. Go with your gut. Post a poll on FS Roundup. This is one to post a poll on. Bill or Gadsden? Go post that poll right now before time runs out because it is too close for me. It's way too close. Oh, that's so tough. I'm sorry. I wish I could give you a better answer. That's such a good question. I really wish I could give you a better answer. Don't spam. Don't spam in here. That doesn't do anybody any good. So, yeah, man, I wish I could give you a better answer, but that's tough. I'll go with my gut and I'll play Bill, and I'll just go ahead and sit Gadsden tonight, but you do your thing. Post a poll. Go with your gut. My gut's telling me Bill. Appreciate the super chat, man. GJE, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Traded for Judkins. Start Chase Brown, Mason, or Judkins. I would definitely play Judkins over both those guys. Chase Brown obviously just doesn't have the upside. And Mason is just in a position to where I don't think that it's going to be... I just don't think that it's going to be enough. Like, it's just not enough with Jordan Mason. That with Aaron Jones already coming back, it obviously like limits upside in a sense, I guess. It really doesn't, though. It just comes down to Jordan Mason not being as good. Yeah, this guy's out of control. This guy is really obnoxious. If you don't stop, then I am going to have to ban you. G Medina, appreciate the super chat. Half PPR start Quentin Johnston tonight or Higgins and at tight end for Gadsden or Otten. Thanks for all you do. Well, I appreciate you. The tight end question is easy. It's an easy Ferguson for me. I like his I actually like kind of his upside because of the fact that CeeDee Lamb can be blanketed by Pat Surtain. They'll have to find other options. So that's easy. QJ or Higgins? QJ for sure. Yeah, I think QJ is definitely like the one thing that I'll go back to with T. Higgins is that backup, like not backups, wide receiver twos with backup quarterbacks, not a good equation usually. And T. Higgins, yeah, I get it. Like with Joe Flacco, it's definitely better than it was with Jake Browning, but I still do think it's a weekly thing. And I think with QJ, when you play with a quarterback like Herbert, you're always going to have tight end or touchdown upside. So yeah, I would go ahead and play QJ over Higgins and Ferguson as your tight end. Appreciate the super chat. Always good to see you in here, G Medina. Okay, we've got a couple more questions that I could answer, and then again, I'm going to have to sign off so I can deal with my own lineup. Jared, appreciate the super chat. Flex Tez Johnson, JCM or Downs, full PPR. I think I'll go ahead and play Tez over Bill. And if I do that, I'll play him over Downs for sure. And I'll play Tez over Bill because of the matchup upside, and he's got a better quarterback. So that one, Bill is so tough. I find the common denominator, tough ones include Bill usually. So yeah, I'll definitely go with Tez Johnson. Because I think Tez, like the upside with the matchup against New Orleans, they have a terrible defense, and Baker's done really well with targeting Tez. So I'll take that upside. Appreciate the super chat. Tyler Sperry, appreciate the super chat. Should you cut Mason? No, he's on my bench. I have Rachaad White. I would not cut Jordan Mason. There's no chance I'd cut Jordan Mason. I mean, I'd play Rachaad White clearly over. I'd clearly play Rachaad White over Jordan Mason this week, but I am not cutting Jordan Mason. There's no way I'm cutting him. People are going to find out. Like, sooner or later, people will understand. It's not going anywhere. Like, the upside, yes, I'm sure the upside has always been limited. Like, that's just the reality. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with Aaron Jones returning. All I keep showing is people, like, Aaron Jones, when he was there, and fully healthy, by the way, which I don't think he is right now. When he was there, he was still the running back one by carries. So, like, his upside is entirely tied to the offense's upside as a whole, which is relatively low right now because of the quarterback situation. And it will be. So, like, Mason is not a cut. No chance. There's way more guys that I would cut before Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason is a rosterable guy moving forward. Appreciate the super chat. I'm glad we cleared that up, too, because I would not want you dropping Jordan Mason. Okay, we'll end on Suicidal Skeleton because, again, I've got to make a change in my own lineup. Herbert or Drake May and Quentin Johnston or Vidal tonight. I'll go with Drake May for sure. I think Herbert's a fine play in certain situations. I just think May's better. They can't run the ball very well effectively anyways, and they're taking on the best run defense with the Browns. Now, they're going to beat the Browns, but the way they beat them is because of Drake May. I'll take Drake May over Justin Herbert tonight. And then QJ or Vidal. I'll go QJ because I think that I would just rather have pieces in the passing game than the running game, because the running game is just, Vidal's fine, but like last week he got exposed. He's not a good back. Like, he looked way better than he actually is a couple weeks ago when they played. Who they play? They played the Dolphins, I think, a couple weeks ago. And he looked way better than he actually is. Yeah, it was the Dolphins. He looked way better than he actually is against the Dolphins because they were able, like, that's a bad defense. But when you put him up against a good defense like the Colts are, things turn bad. So, like, it's a good defense tonight. The Vikings, I'll go ahead and play QJ. Appreciate the super chat. All right, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and sign off because I've got to make a quick change in my own lineup. I just remembered with a Vidal question. So I appreciate y'all being in here. Like the video, subscribe to the channel to show your support. If I did not get your question answered, go to FS Roundup, start a start-sit poll for free, and vote on other polls for free. If you want access to my full top 250 rankings on a weekly basis and access to the waiver wire tool, the comparison feature, the league sync up, that is for $6 a month now, which we dropped from $8.88 a month. So go sign up for FS Roundup. Check out the site. Love you guys. I'll see you guys after the game tonight. Peace out.